To model business processes, we are going to use the Bpmn language. Bpmn stands for Business Process Model and Notation. It's a language that was standardized by the Object Management Group in January 2011. There are on the one hand a number of organizations throughout the world that do make use of the business process model and notation to model their business processes. And on the other hand, a number of vendors that support this language in their process modeling tools. So Bpmn allows us to model both conceptual, meaning high-level, business-oriented process models, as well as executable process models, so technical process models that can be automatically deployed and executed in a BPM system. So the original objective of Bpmn, in fact, was to provide a language that was easy to understand, both by a technical audience as well as a business audience. For example, easy to understand by business analysts that have to create the initial drafts of a business process model to get approved by process owners, as well as by a more technical audience, such as solution architects and software developers that have to design and implement process automation solutions. So the scope of Bpmn as a process modeling language is actually very wide. Bpmn may appear daunting at the beginning because its notation is very rich. It counts more than 100 notation symbols. But the way we are going to learn this language is by dividing its notation into two sets. First, in this topic, we are going to learn how to use a core set of elements to model simple scenarios. And in the next topic, we are going to see a number of types of each of these elements in the core set in order to be able to model more advanced, more complex scenarios. But let's start with the core elements. We have the activity. This is represented by a rounded box, and indeed it captures an activity that is performed as part of the business process. For example, assess credit risk or emit invoice. So an activity takes time to be executed and consumes resources. Then we have the event, represented by a circle, and we have two types of events. We have the start event, a circle with a thin border, and the end event, a circle with a thick border. Events are something that happen instantaneously in the execution of the process, like the receipt of a purchase order or the sending of an invoice. The start event specifically is used to capture a trigger to a business process. For example, this process starts upon the lodgement of a claim, whereas end events are used to capture possible outcomes of a business process. For example, a claim handling process may finish with the claim being accepted, that's a positive outcome, so one end event, or the claim being rejected, that's a negative outcome, and that's another end event. And then we have gateways, represented as diamonds, and the sequence flows, represented as arcs, that are used to link activities and events in order to establish an order in which these activities and events have to be performed. Specifically, gateways are used for branching and merging purposes, so for routing flow of control, whereas sequence flows are used to establish a temporal order. For example, we need a sequence flow between two activities to indicate that the first activity has to be performed before the second one.